Good morning, Peter.
Morning. Let me just put
Good
my headphones.
morning, up and coming Glasgow musician, Peter.
There you go. It's incredible. At 66. It's all
Uh,
happening.
Sweet Illusions'
Can you hear?
second album is coming out next month.
Yeah.
Did you know there was going to be a second album when you started work on the first? Did you think this was going to go somewhere?
Um, I think it became clear that I enjoyed doing it, so that I sort of couldn't stop doing it. I just kept at it because it was so enjoyable. Um, but there was no plan, it just ended up with more songs, and it was so much fun putting together an album because it's not like the old days where you have to be signed up to a big record company and you have to have, people on your back all the time and get lots of money. Anybody can do it, and then that's it, it's the doors are open to access all that creativity, whether it be, the music and doing the sleeve and all that kind of stuff. So it's fun.
And
But I didn't have a big plan. No, I didn't.
I got the sense that it started off out of um, there was almost a social aspect of it because you were recording with people who that you got on well with. You enjoyed the experience of collaborating with the musicians in the band. You bounced off ideas, but you didn't necessarily arrive with like a whole kind of like plastic bag full of songs or anything to get together or anything like that.
No, I mean this second album was a wee bit, I guess it was a wee bit less random than the first. But the first one was really just having a go. Just really, I hadn't done it for years and never really done it seriously, although I'd been in a band and stuff before. And obviously, I'd subsequently in my life met musicians who I respected and liked being around. And so the first one was just really having a stab, as is the second one, really. But you just learn more as you go along, and I tried to make it a bit more. I tried to make the songs a wee bit more complete this time around.
So your vocals are obviously on this. Did you play guitar as well? Was there other elements
Yeah,
of?
yeah, I played a lot of guitar, yeah, yeah.
Um,
But it's with Doc. I mean, it's essentially uh, me and Dr. Robert, who plays the bass and plays a lot of acoustic and electric guitar, and Steve Seidelneck, who's fantastic um, drummer and processor of drum sounds, who did all the drum sounds. It's amazing.
yeah, it sounds a bit more. It sounds a bit more filled out and complete this one than the first album.
Yeah, the first one, yeah, it's all just a stab in the dark, it's all just a experimenting and seeing what you can do. I mean, uh, we had originally with the first one, we were going to go into the studio with a band that we'd put together, but then COVID struck and we weren't able to do that. So we were forced then to we still wanted to do it. So what we did was we just took all the demos that I'd made on like GarageBand and all that. And began to, you can send them back and forth on the internet, and somebody, Mick Talbot would add the keyboards or something to it, or would come back and be great. And I thought, well, this is fabulous. I can just pass things around, and they come back much better than they would be if you just done it yourself. And obviously, Robert's got a great address book, so we're able to get a lot of good people. And he himself is a very, very skilled musician. So, but this one was much more just us.
You said both albums are rooted in a version of Glasgow. I thought that was quite fun
Mhm.
because I've talked to other musicians who the Glasgow that they base their songs on or their characters are. It isn't necessarily the one that they inhabit, if you know what I mean. There's a kind of
Yeah,
version of it that either takes on an American quality or a noirish quality and stuff like that.
yeah,
In your mind's eye, did you have a particular version of Glasgow that some of your characters were emerging from?
yeah, yeah. Because really, what I was doing was picking up where I left off 40 years ago when I was an art student in a band, and when Simple Minds and all that were knocking about, and Strawberry Switchblade and Altered Images and all that. And Glasgow was a big kind of happening place. So I was just, it's that kind of range. But I mean, it is quite cinematic that even then, I mean, the concept of Glasgow was always quite cinematic and quite dramatic. It kind of suited that. Um, so I'm unashamedly nostalgic, for that period. And I think a lot of the songs and the sounds of the songs would fit into that period quite well.
I talked to PJ Moore from the Blue Nile, and he talked about
Oh yeah,
that period in the 80s, and Bobby from the Bluebells has talked about it as well. About that
yeah,
there was all kinds of folk arriving up in Glasgow trying to find the next best sound and stuff like that. Do you think there was a
yeah.
version of things where you could have been sitting in Nico's having a Brandy Alexander and you could have actually signed a record contract at that stage?
But me personally,
Yeah, because like I mean,
um,
there was people who were like barmen, there was people like the waitresses, there was people who were like artists and stuff like that, and then next week they were on top of the pops, Peter. So you could have been in the right
yeah,
place at
yeah.
the right time, as all.
Well, obviously, we're not in the right place at the right time. And it wasn't for want of trying. But that never really worked out for us. But we would have loved something like that to happen. And yes, of course, that's what very much what the vibe was
Yeah,
in the on the scene really was people would be knocking about Great Western Roads dressed you know, um, as baby goths, and then the next week they'd be signed, and then the next month they'd be on top of the pops or whatever. So it seemed quite possible for all these things to happen. But sadly, it didn't happen to
yeah.
us.
Why do you think kids had that confidence at that time? I asked Jim Kerr, like his first interview, he was a wee guy from Tory Glen. His first interview, he said he wanted to be the biggest band in the world. Where do you think that kind of
Yeah,
bravado came from people of that generation?
don't know. I mean, Glasgow's I think it's a very artistic, creative city. I don't really know where that comes from. I don't know where that seam of creativity has grown from. But I think people just felt they were entitled to have a go at doing this.
Yeah,
And then they could pick up a guitar and get a sense. Also, it was part of the times. I mean, the ethos of the times was, I mean, Axel started really doing it, I suppose, 1977, 77, 78. So that was just, no, post-punk. I mean, that was kind of punk. Although I wasn't really punky myself. Um, it was just that's what you did. You could be in a band. If you got a guitar and you get a drummer and you could just have a go. And then you go and see. I mean, I saw the Simple Minds in the Mars bar. I was like, what? I was like, how could people from Glasgow do that? How could, well, they can, and they were amazing. And it was in a squashed wee sweaty bar. And Jim was there with his, pudding haircut, his Shakespearean haircut. And it was just great. And I thought, well, I want to be part of all this. This looks fun. But of course, it's not. You have to work hard. They worked incredibly
yeah.
hard. And you got to get lucky as well. We did our best, but it never really happened for us. So, but I always maintained an interest in music. And we got kind of tired and punch drunk really from the constantly trying and not really getting anywhere.
Yeah, and then things like, um, Local Hero kind of sets the scene for acting becoming the big focus. Did you still kind of carry around a guitar and stuff like that? Were you?
Not really. I mean, first of all, I've never really been a guy. I'm not the guy with the guitar at a party. I'm not that guy. I don't come and join in and get everybody to sing songs. I've never been that guy. Um, I think I think it just wanted to. Local Hero was such a great kind of uh, a great accident, a great piece of fate, sort of plucking me out of hanging about the Amphora or the Mars Bar or the College of Building and Technology bar and going into this other world that I was also very, very interested in. Uh, I thought, well, I've got to go with this. So I stopped sort of pursuing actually being a signed up uh, pop person. There were a few kind of residual things that happened. I was always sort of half in bands and half kind of there's lots of recordings of bits and pieces and things that we did in various studios that never went anywhere. But I think my heart had gone out of it really, and I just wanted to get on with acting, which seemed strangely more that was kind of happening for me, you know. But that was quite terrifying as well. Didn't really know how to do that. But here
This
we are.
this album, you're picking up where you left off, and you say that there's bits and bobs of things that you've worked on in the years. Are these all fresh songs, or is there echoes of things that have been going around in your head before when you're kind of wandering around, or quiet moments where you get a melody or you get a kind of lyric and stuff like that?
No, these are all new because what happened was uh, I'd been befriended by Dr. Robert from the Blow Monkeys while on holiday in Spain, and Robert's a great musician and a great guy. And he used to get he's the guy at the party with the
Yeah.
guitar. He can and he'll play anything you like. You can tell he'll play it, and it's amazing. Um, and he used to get me to kind of join in with him and on the guitar, and then he had a small label. Or was part of a small label called Monks Road Records, and they used to annually kind of do a thing where they gathered lots of disparate musicians and record something. I happened to be there when they were doing it, and he said, "Write a song." And why? I said, "Yeah, go and write a song and see what happens." So I wrote a song and I brought it in, and they recorded it, and that was an amazing thing. They did it in a day, you know. And I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." So then I thought, well, I'm going to do more of this. So I was doing the film Suicide Squad in Atlanta. And I could have done my part in about a month, but the way it worked out, I was there for like 3 months. I had all this time. I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll write a song every day. I'll make sure I write a song because I've read that you've got to write 100 songs before you get one good song. I don't know if I'm there yet. I'll let you, I'll let you know. Um, so I would just spend my days off writing songs, just deliberately trying to do stuff. So there was nothing old lying. I didn't have anything old lying around. So I just would say, okay, I'm going to write a sad song. I'm going to try and write a banger, or they're all terrible, but it doesn't matter. You just have a go, have a go.
Yeah. I was listening to the album over the weekend. Starts off really strong with Is It Today? Other tracks. I love the title track, Sweet Illusions, and
Well,
Something to
thank you.
Behold and Not Going Anywhere. Those were my kind of four standout tracks.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
do you love all your babies equally, or is there any favourites that you have on this particular album, or ones that you
Um,
enjoyed the process
I
of?
think I just get thrilled that there's any of them, that any of them exist, and then I'm always kind of very knocked out by what people do with them, what other people bring to them. Um, I kind of like, is it awful to say you like them all? It doesn't matter because they're just for me. I mean, nobody. I
In my
think I like
experience, when an artist says they like them all, that is a good thing, Peter. So
is
keep
it
that. Yeah.
I like Through the Cracks because I worked to try and make quite a long kind of rocky kind of thing with some dynamics and dips and balances and a bit of a rant in it. So I quite like that. Uh, but no, I like that. Yeah, I like No One in the World because it's a wee bell at the end of that. I was like, I like we put wee soundtracky kind of things, and
Yeah.
um, yeah. So they are what they are. I'm sure I listen to them sometimes, just think they're absolute crap. Sometimes you go, oh, that's really quite good, and then sometimes you go, that's absolute rubbish. Who do you think you are? Just do it. I mean, I just do it for fun. It's not to make another career. It's because I enjoy it. So it's very important to you know, I take it seriously in the sense that I'm trying to improve my skills and all that stuff, but I don't take it seriously in terms of expecting to go anywhere particularly with it.
Well,
Um,
last time we spoke, which was just before the first album came out, and I asked you about live performance. I said there was a number of those I could
mm,
imagine being performed on stage, and that the crowd would get into it, and it's much more so on the second album. It sounds like there's tracks
Mm.
there that should be on a stage and be live. You dipped your toe in, I gather, in Glasgow last year, and then there might be a festival appearance this year.
Yeah, we did a gig at Stereo, which was because I just wanted to see if that was possible, because obviously I hadn't done it for so long. And I got this fabulous band together, who are all brilliant, you know. Uh, Charlotte Printer and Craig McMahon worked with Joseph yeah, and Andrew Cowan, who does Auto Tinnitus, and Chris Dickey, who does Glass Vegas. I love Glass Vegas, and I'd always loved the drumming in Glass Vegas. So he's coming, and they are just great. So we just rehearsed for every time I came up, we would rehearse, and it was great hearing what they did to the songs, and they really gave them a kind of attack. But I had to see whether or not it was possible for me to actually have the guts to go ahead and go out in front of the band and do that. Um, and we did it, and it was great fun. So we'll do it again. I mean, we're going to do, yeah, Belladron I asked us to do a gig, so that's nice. We'll do that. But I'd like to maybe get some more gigs in before that. I mean, it's hard. I'm kind of filming just now, so it's hard to. It's very difficult to do all of this stuff without. If you don't want to build an empire, people are slightly confused by what is it you're wanting to do.
Yeah.
As it were. In the old days, that you would say if you want to be on top of the pops or something like that, that would be a direction. But my direction is just I like doing this, and so I don't. Already, people are going, oh well, we can get you this and we can get you that, But then all these obligations begin to mount on your shoulders
Yeah.
to other people, and I don't want to do that. I just want to have fun with it.
So more live, but possibly not a 42 date European tour in the future.
I don't think that would be useful for anybody, really. But I don't know. I quite like to support some people. I think that would be nice. It's hard because it's difficult if you're well known. That's one thing, and then you have a go at this. I don't want to be coming along and saying I should be a headlining kind of rock, pop star or something like that. I'm quite happy just to sweep the stage, as it were, and come, and support people and be around and just practice doing it in front of people. And festival's quite good for that because you're not, you know, all the big giant acts are all on the main stage. You get to be on the side stage where there's not so much pressure.
So you tend to write more with characters in mind rather than writing from your own, drawing from your own stuff. Well, I mean, everyone draws from their own experience, but I just mean that
Mm.
this is a collection of songs where there's characters set against a Glasgow-ish background. That kind of sums up what the thread is that ties
Yeah,
these together.
yeah. I think that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, did you start? Was there a particular song that was the first one that you wrote for this album? Was there a particular starting point? Do you remember?
Something to Behold was a kind of thing that I started doing that was quite a personal thing. And I mean, one of the things is, I'm not really that experienced at writing songs. So I just get a guitar and sit there and try and put something together. But I've discovered even in this brief time that I've been doing it, that you want to go further than that. You want to dig into deeper things. So there are actually there are a few quite personal songs in there. I mean, Midnight really was, I think, uh, came about because I became my grandfather, and I just really, um, you're very conscious when you become a grandfather that there's a ticking clock, in the sense that you have this wonder, these wondrous children brought into your life, but for a more limited time. Um, and so I wanted to do something that was kind of quite atmospheric, quite uh, um, uh, uh, lullaby-ish. So I think that was one of the first ones I did was Midnight, which actually was I did music first and then it took ages to get for the title. People laugh at me because I love bin night. I'm a great advocate of bin night because it's the one night where the entropy and chaos of the world seems to be able to help. I can hold it back by taking the bins out. So
Yeah,
that's what that's about.
that's that illusion. So I described you as a Springburn a Springburn actor a while back, and I got
Yeah,
a very angry email from one of your former neighbours in Bishop Briggs who claimed you for Bishop.
yeah,
What
yeah.
you grew up in Springburn, then there was Bishop Briggs
I grew
after.
up in Kibbikill Road in Springburn. Yeah, and then my family moved to Bishopbriggs, and I went with them.
And
So
then
I'm both of those things. Obviously, I found the I mean, being brought up in Kibbikill Road was brilliant. I mean, I absolutely loved it. I mean, all my aunties and uncles lived in the same block or behind us. My granny, both my grannies, like my dad's mother lived down the stairs, and my mother's mother lived across the road. So it was kind of like it was I think I caught the tail end of that kind of tenement kind of culture. But it was great. It was like a kind of, I don't know, it wasn't horrible. It was like a place where I imagined the Marx Brothers might be brought up, something like that. You know, it was, and my father and his brothers, they all played musical instruments, and
yeah.
they were kind of they were their own party band. Uh, we'd all get together. So that was all um, in that happened in the tenements. But then obviously they all began the tenements began to get demolished and people began
Yeah.
to move out. But they moved to Bishop Briggs, which was obviously more. They went once into high rise blocks or anything like that. They were going into wee wimpy houses, which was nice, you know. But it was quite boring, you know, for a teen compared to Springville.
So was the art school the beginning of the excitement where you could reinvent yourself and chart the
Oh
course
yeah,
and
yeah. I
make
mean,
it
I'd
well?
actually tried to go to yeah. I mean, I tried to go to drama school before that, but I've been rejected. I just didn't really. I just wanted to do something that was. I wanted to be on the telly. I think basically, I wasn't really sure what discipline I would pursue. But the art school was a place where you were allowed to be very creative, uh, and it had a vibe about it that was just very, very. It's quite cool, and you know we looked down our noses terribly at drama students, for instance. We thought drama students were the most boring ever, and architecture students and all that stuff. We thought we were very, very cool, and we probably were quite cool, actually.
Yeah.
But the funny thing was, I remember when we went to. I think I started in 1976, so that was before kind of Sex Pistols and all that. So we all went to art school. We were all basically dressed, you know, we were dressed as like Neil Young, you know, Heart of Gold, you know, with long hair and all that kind of and the army issue coats and all that stuff. And then in the summer, the Sex Pistols came along, and we all came back with peroxide hair and plastic trousers.
Yeah, it's a great
What we could manage of that.
it's a great place for I don't think that people acknowledge how much the art school has contributed to the music side of things. It really is where people can find their voice in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and there used to be, I mean, that was where we used to rehearse. A lot of bands rehearsed there. And also the student union began after a certain amount of pressure from people like myself and others to get kind of cooler bands to come along. Uh, and so you start to see better bands there, you know. But at the time, the College of Technology and Printing was actually had better bands. As a venue, they attracted bigger bands. Funnily enough, um, but it was a great time. You know, you see those books, a couple of books people have sent with photographs from all that period. People's snapshots of just the bungalow bar and all that stuff. It's great.
Is
I
there
don't know if that goes on now. I don't know if kids do that now anymore. With how that all works.
And they still rehearse, and Glasgow is still a place where people gravitate towards if they want to start a band or if they want their band to go somewhere. And I think that
Yeah.
that's something that I'm always conscious of that we have to foster. I mean, if Glasgow loses that, then it's just another grey city. But if we're the place where people want to come and write their songs, I think that that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, but I agree with you. It's strange. I don't really quite know why it has this. It's essentially a noirish kind of romantic quality. Uh, it kind of stimulates a kind of cinematic sort of notions in people's heads. Uh, yeah, I wouldn't be, if you told me the Killers came from Glasgow, I wouldn't be surprised. Except if there's lots of sunshine and deserts in,
The songs might not be
in
as
their songs.
sunny. Um, I talked about that to Paul from the Delgados, and because he'd
Hmm.
spent some time in America and then moved back to Glasgow, and I was wondering if there was kind of like a more sunshine infused version of some of his songs. Um, but yeah, we tend to it's a lot of kind of very there's a lot of jangly guitars and it can be quite uplifting melodies, but it's very honest lyrics and sometimes quite hard lyrics, I suppose. You know, you look at something like Las Vegas where people could be singing along and basically they're pouring their
Yeah,
heart out to you.
yeah. But also there's a big love of guitars.
Yeah.
It's a big guitar city, guitar and synth city. It's a good name for something, isn't it? Synth city. Oh, hey, where's my pen?
Right. So
Synth city.
I
Yeah.
look forward to your third album, Sin City, Peter. Um, I, I'll just close because I just wanted to get a sense of some of your favorite Glasgow places. Do you have a favorite Glasgow building?
Well, as was the art school, unfortunately, as Keith Richards described his own house, a bit of a combustible bastard, uh, because his house burned down twice. The art school is pretty amazing. Uh, um, the Barrowland's pretty amazing
Yeah.
when that's all lit up. Uh, I think I like all around the Merchant City as well. When the Merchant City fades and it becomes the Tron Theatre and all of those red brick kind of tenements around there are very Edward Hopper-esque, you know, and you catch them at a certain light. So I'll often be found walking around there because I just find the look of those tenements to be quite beautiful. And that whole area around Tron Gate, that's a kind of I feel as if the wind comes up from the river there, and there's a kind of magical kind of it's connected to the past as well
Yeah.
as to the current Glasgow. I like it around there, so I wander around there a lot.
Are there any bar, restaurants, or cafes that you think about when you think about Glasgow from any era, current or from your past?
Well, Nico's, of course, which you mentioned, used to be was the first. It was the first time I ever saw a cappuccino, an official cappuccino,
Yeah.
called a cappuccino. There was obviously frothy coffees that you could get in more traditional places, but Nico's became a. It was quite close to the art school as well, so there would always be kind of celebrities or people who were on the way to being celebrities there. But it was different when it started. It was very croissants. I'd never seen croissants, but this was prehistoric. Um, the Rock Garden I used to love,
Yeah.
which yeah, it's got a new name now, I think, but it still retains it's
Still
got the
got that
same
Art
frontier.
Deco thing. Yeah, yeah. You'd recognize
Yeah,
it.
the art.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So downstairs was always great doing gigs there. It was always a great gig, the Rock Garden, like that. Um, there's so many places that you just don't suddenly go, wow, that's amazing. And funny enough, on the way, as you start to go up Capel Road and you leave Glasgow and you begin to head into, well, follow my parents' path from Springburn and go through the outskirts of Bishopbriggs, you start to see a kind of, you see the, let's call it a kind of uh, Mad Men kind of, uh, I think people like the idea of living in America. And so there's a kind of coiffured kind of tended lawns and these wee houses have a kind of look of less of America, well, more like bedrock from the end of the Flintstones, I think. Bishop Briggs used to look like that. Used to look like used to look like bedrock. But there is a kind of, especially on a summer's day, in a big wide sky, you see the aspiration that was there to try and make something a bit American. America's got great influence on. Maybe that's why it's a cinematic city because the center of Glasgow is built on that grid like New York and all that. And you look up, you see these fantastic buildings. So they clean them up a bit. Everything's looking a bit tatty. It's a shame.
What about your Glasgow music? You mentioned Simple Minds and Las Vegas. Are there any other bands that you've carried with you?
Um, well, I like them. Blue Nile's great, and the Bluebells and Deacon Blue and Altered Images. I would say the funny thing is if you're actually in they were all really sweet to us. Although we were not a very successful band, they were all very kind to us and all would give us support gigs and ask us how we were doing and stuff like that. Um, so I have a great affection for all Glasgow bands really because it's quite hard to.
They still put gigs on downstairs at Max's, which is where the Rock Garden was. So you never know, you could
Oh
end up
yeah,
with a wee support gig down there someday.
yeah,
Just
yeah. It
stick
was
in
a
at
great
it,
gig.
Peter.
Would be nice. That would be nice. I mean, it's actually quite, yeah. I mean, I quite like those kind of scale of gigs.
Yeah.
But we've just got all this gear now.
Yes.
There's more synths and guitars and kind of stuff like that. But I
Yeah.
like those kind of size of gigs. I think that's good. I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time today. It was lovely to speak to you.
Lovely to speak to you, Paul. Good to see you. Where are you? Are
Uh,
you where in Glasgow?
I'm currently at home. I'm in Cambuslang. Um,
Okay,
I'm about to round up the
lovely.
kids to take everyone up to Loch Lomond for the day. It's half term,
Oh,
so
nice. Is it a nice day? Oh, okay,
no, no, it's
lovely.
not. It's
No,
not. But it's probably going to snow, Peter. It's not a nice day at all. But we persevere as well. Um,
yeah.
my dad was from Almonds Park Street in Springburn, and then they moved
Oh,
when I was
yeah.
born to Bishop Briggs. I was baptized in St
Yeah.
Matthew's, so we followed a similar trajectory in that way. Just before I finish, actually, I always wanted to ask you because
Yeah.
it's always seemed kind of serendipity of it all. The fact that Armando and you grew up in the same area, your parents kind of knew each other, but you didn't really know each other. But then you end up in later
Yeah.
life, you do this amazing creative thing together that's so important for both of you. Have you ever both sat down and said, "Isn't it mad that we were running about the same streets as we guys, and then we end up doing this together?"
No, wait, no, but it's strange the way we kind of. I mean, I said to my mother, when I was about to start working with Armando, I said, she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm working with this guy Armando Iannucci," and she said, "I know Armando." I said, "What?" And she said, "Yeah." She said he built that wee cupboard in our scullery. I said, What are you talking? What are you talking about?" And she meant Armando's dad.
All right, yeah.
Who also did, I think they ended up doing pizzas and all that, but he used to do a bit of carpentry on the side. And so Armando's dad built this wee cupboard in our scullery in Kippikill Road.
Yeah,
And then Armando told me a story about which I knew from family legend and lore that there'd been my family were all ice cream men, so the day off was a Wednesday, and they'd go to Corder Golf Club, which was very glamorous. But sometimes they'd go to where you're going to, Loch Lomond, and
yeah.
somebody had a boat in Loch Lomond. I don't know who it was. Um, and my uncles were all on the boat with Armando's dad, and the boat sank, which is family legend, but also family legend in Armando's
Yeah,
family. So he told me all that, filled me in on details of that. So it's amazing, amazing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Fantastic. Okay, enjoy the
Okay.
rest of your day. Good luck with the filming. Bye now.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
See you,
man.
Paul. Bye. Bye.